really love chords, and I think it's one of the most amazing things with music. Now, I want to show you a few secrets of how to get your chords to be more interesting, more exciting, and also to feel free creating with it. This video is based on a workshop I just released. If you want a discount code, check it out. Thank you. Let's dive in. When I started playing guitar, I didn't understand how people play all these cool sounds and chords, because all I knew was, these kind of shapes, and I was like hardly flexible even in this kind of neck of the woods, not to mention understanding what I'm doing. What I want to talk about right now are really very simple steps, a few levels of how you can go from a situation that you don't understand what's happening to a place that you're way more free with chords and creating. Let's do this. One of the biggest problems that people have is that they actually don't understand what they're doing. So the first thing I want to do is talk about C major scale and the degrees, the chords that are in the scale and how they actually sound, work, and really understanding that. So if you think you know it, great. Make sure you follow, because we're gonna talk about also how we're gonna hear it, and that's a huge thing. Because at the end of the day, if you know C major scale really deeply, you can play anything. So let's make sure. When we talk about chords, we're talking about 1, 3, 5. That means that we have 1, the root, the 3 tell us if it's major or minor, and the 5, the 5th. Basically, I'm taking the C major scale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, the first note, the 3rd, and the 5th. So 1, 3, 5. This is C major. Same thing, I'm gonna just build on each one of the degrees of the scale. Very simple. D minor, E minor, F major, G major, I'm gonna jump here, A minor, B diminished, and C major. It's extremely important to listen to how it feels, how these colors are interacting with the center. Degrees. Alright, so it's very cool to know that there are a few chords in the key of C, and C, D minor, E minor, cool, but it's extremely important to basically understand the functionality, the relationship. When we're listening to music, we care about tension and release and how things feel, right? So that means that we need to not only understand this is C and this is F, but to understand the relationship between them, because this is actually what's up. We want to think about these chords as functions. So 1, also known as tonic. 2 can be referred to as subdominant. We don't need to talk about it right now, but if you know, you know. E minor, the 3, F4, again subdominant. G, tension. This is the dominant. A minor can function as subdominant or tonic substitution in other situation. B, diminished. This is dominant. This is tension, glue, leading us back to home base, the 1. This is extremely important to hear it and feel it. For example, so I can think about instead of C, F, G, F, I can say 1, 4, 5, 4, and I want to feel the rise and fall of the tension and release. Listen how beautiful these chords can be, even if they're just simple sounds. Listen to how it feels, right? Because this is music, the tension and release, and if we can tag that, if we can understand it in terms of functions, we can actually hear things in the real world. So we can go on the street and hear this thing, and I can say 1, 4, 5, 4, which gives us a lot of power, because we can actually identify objects almost in that musical world and call it names, hear it, and then of course create with it. Question: if I'm playing this chord, C major 7, I'm adding this note A and also adding this note D, what would you call it? Drop a comment. Next, we're gonna add the 7. So how do we add the 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Literally playing C major scale up to the 7th degree, and I'm getting the B natural, so I'm taking C and just adding the major 7. I'm gonna play all these chords with shell chords because I'm in love with shell chords. So C major 7, D minor 7, basically the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I'm getting the C in D minor, right? So I'm playing that D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G 7, A minor 7. I'm gonna play B half diminished this way because I want to get the fully the full color of the half diminished, and then back to C major 7. We're gonna do that one more time from the 6th string because I also want you to see the shapes. It's extremely important to notice because the next step is gonna be built on these sounds and shapes. So C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, Sol, G7, La, A minor 7, B half diminished, Do. Now, when you're listening and practicing and learning these things, take your time because you want to absorb the information. So how do we get to cool shapes, right? So we're going to start by taking A minor 7 shell chords here. And we're going to take each one of the notes in C major scale and see how it sounds against the A minor. This is kind of like starting to add extensions and tension to these chords, but again, in a very controlled and understanding or kind of like attentive way. So, Do, we have the C on top, so the next note instead of C would be D, so Do, Re. This is A minor 7, 11, A minor 7, 4 basically, or let's say A minor 7, 11. And then the next one is E, so Mi. The next one would be F, I'd probably play it like this. Fa, super cool, again, it kind of takes, this would be A minor 7, flat 6. Again, not everything is gonna work perfectly, but it's still a cool sound. That's kind of cool. So, and then again A, right? And then B, A minor 7, 9, and then C on top. So this is basically the scale, literally the scale of C major with each one of the options. Let's sing it one time so we really hear it. Re, the 4, the 11, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, the 1, Se, the 9, Do, the 3. So very simple, but now we're gonna take G7 and tweak it a little bit further. So I'm gonna take each one of the chromatic notes, basically all the notes possible on top of this shell chord. This is why I'm saying the shell chords are what's up. So Si, Do, we start with Do, Do, a little hard because I have the 3 and the 4, so this is kind of like G7 and the 4. Then Do diez, this is G7 flat 5. Right, I'm just taking the shell. You see literally the shell and putting one note here. Next one will be D, so maybe I'll play it this way. So Re, just the 5 of G. Nice, very cool. What is this? The flat 13. Mi bemol, super cool. Mi, the 13. Maybe I'll play this like this again. Fa. Now the F sharp is going to be extremely harsh because it will be the 7th and the major 7. Let's do it. Fa diez. It's very harsh indeed. And then Sol, just the 1. La bemol, the flat 9. It's really cool. La, the 9. Si bemol, the Jimi Hendrix chord, the sharp 9, right? Then Si, and then again Do. So what I'm trying to show here is that the information, understanding what we're doing, is really the first step for finding really cool shapes that we can express with. Now, I'm all about understanding and creating, but again, it needs to come from a place of information and from a place of hearing what we're doing. Question: if I'm playing this chord G7, but I'm adding this note E flat, but also adding this note A flat, what is this chord? Drop a comment right now. Alright, so now let's take a progression. I'm going to take a very simple progression: C major, A minor, F major, and G major, right? So I'm going to use these tricks that we just did. So instead of C major, I'm going to play C major 7 shell, and then I'm going to add and try one of the notes in the key of C. I'll try this note D. Ooh, worked pretty well. Maybe even with the open string because I know it's an E. Okay, so this is my first chord. Again, this is instead of C major. You know, this is so beautiful. I mean, it's so lush. Yeah, it's really cool. Next chord, A minor. Instead of this shape, or even A minor 7, I'm gonna go to this shell and maybe keep this D on top. Why not? So we'll have like, and then we'll have the F major. Instead of F major, maybe I'll do F major 7 shell. And let's keep the D on top. I kind of like this idea. And then going to the G, so instead of G, we'll do G shell. And you know what? I kind of want to hear some extension, but I'm gonna add this A flat here. So I'm gonna keep this G and F and even the D because I like the D on top, but just having the A flat. So that's G7 flat 9. So what I get is this. Instead of, which is fine, we get. Yes, I mean, it's so simple, right? I just changed these chords to 7 chords and I added a note or 2 here and there, but where is it coming from? From the scale, right? I'm really taking things that you understand, but that's the beauty of music and guitar. Once you understand, you can really start finding and discovering, literally discovering, like, you know, you mess around, you're like, oh, I want this D here because I want the 9. What happens if it's on the bass instead of on the top note? And then you find a new voicing, and then it makes you very happy because you find a new chord. Let's try to bring a little bit of life into this song. So right, just little things, everything from C major scale. Of course, I practice guitar and I try to learn music in a way that I can utilize the elements. So when I see and imagine C major scale, I really see it all through the framework. This is also why I mentioned the workshop, because it's exactly that mapping of the guitar that's so important. What we're trying to do is really hear the colors and emotionally connect to this, so we feel it and then we actually tag it and can utilize it. It's so beautiful, but you need to allow yourself the space to learn and process. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you believe in the exploration of guitar and chords, and I really hope that you just take your time to discover all these beautiful sounds that are accessible once you let yourself the time and the space to learn.